Hey there, Dave Paulides, canammissing project, copyrighted edition for our video channel. Thanks for being here. We are on the area just below Hungry Horse Reservoir on the Flathead River, a place I've been to many times. And I love this spot because it's serenity. I've had some phenomenal sightings here before of wildlife and bald eagles flying up the valley. It's just now starting to snow today. It snowed a little bit last night. It's about 34 outside right now, so it wants to snow. But I'm going to give you that outdoor experience. So, a couple of things, not political, but a lot of people have asked me questions about chronic wasting disease. And if you don't know anything about it, you should. So, chronic wasting disease is a prion-based disease in moose, elk, deer, and minks. There's a lot of wildlife that are affected by it. It's the same disease that killed a lot of people starting in the UK back decades ago. It was called then mad cow disease that had to deal with cows. Now what's happened is that it's always fatal in these animals, and it's very hard to eliminate. Prions are very hard to eliminate once they are in the system, in our wildlife system. I've stated before, and I'll say it again very clearly, this is the largest, biggest wildlife disaster in our midst that our government will not talk about publicly. Our state governments will at times, but our federal government won't. And it's sweeping our nation. And you think, well, it's not really here in our state yet. It's there. It hasn't been found yet. I can remember when I first started to look at this, and it wasn't in Montana. Now it's coming up from the south and from the Canadian border. It's going to completely encircle Montana, just like it did in Wyoming. Wyoming, nearly every county has it. And just because it hasn't been picked up in wildlife in your county doesn't mean anything. This isn't the kind of disease where you can go down and trap some wildlife and take a test and find it. It doesn't work that way. You've got to kill the animal and either take brain tissue or take a gland to test it. And it's easily passed from animal to animal. What I mean by that is that when an animal that's diseased with prions and they urinate on a plant, the next animal that comes by that chews on that plant will catch the disease. Chronic CWD, chronic wasting disease. If you Google chronic wasting disease Wyoming, a map will come up of the state that shows how it's affected that state. It's a disaster. And it's already a disaster in Colorado. It's going to come across the entire U.S. There's nothing to stop it. And that's what the disaster plays into. In Montana, for instance, they make a few public announcements about it a year. That's it. I don't get it. There's no real plan. They monitor it, but it's not a requirement for hunters to submit their pituitary or their gland samples to the state for testing. It's just a recommendation. And then every state in the union says not to eat beef that's prion diseased. Now, why do they say that? Because the British government years ago, in mad cow disease, said that there's no way mad cow disease would cross over to humans. No, don't worry about it. Just keep eating the beef. Guess what happened? It crossed from animal to human. Now, they're saying right now that it hasn't crossed yet to human. I don't believe that. And the reason I don't believe that is that the symptoms don't occur in a human for 20 to 30 years once you have the disease. And they are identical symptoms for Alzheimer's and dementia. Yeah. Now, a lot of hunters are being stupid and not getting their animals tested. It's pure stupidity. There's no way I'd eat a deer, elk, anything with possible prion contamination and I wouldn't have it tested. Every one I would. But then again, the public isn't outcrying to our governments about why they aren't doing more. Yeah. And why is it important? Because it's part of the ecosystem that keeps us alive. This is urgently important, folks. I've had friends that have talked about getting a group together and just thrashing social media with facts surrounding chronic wasting disease. Why isn't the Sierra Club up in arms and talking about this? Why aren't the National Park Service Society and travel associations talking about this? There's animals throughout Rocky Mountain National Park, elk specifically, that have chronic wasting disease. Nobody's talking about it. It's really, really bothersome. Yeah, it's getting cold too. It's snowing right now. I could just sit here and look at that water for hours. So, if you look on the web, chronic wasting disease, similarities to mad cow disease, or Google prion, P-R-I-O-N disease, you're going to see what I mean. It's moving through Canada, moving through the U.S. now, and some idiotic people will say, oh, it's not in our state yet. Hey, follow me. It will be in your state. It's just a matter of time. And when it comes through your state and it starts destroying the wildlife that is part of the ecosystem, sounds like a loon. I see it. It's part of the joy of being out here. It's awesome. So, Ange and I are back from our Idaho trip. We're done with the videos we made there. So I wanted to get a new Friday video up for you guys in the outdoors. It's brutal here in the winter, but I'm going to try to make it a regular part of this channel, a Friday outdoor video somewhere, and bring the beauty into your home. So the other part of that is on Fridays I'm going to detour a little bit. And today we're going to talk about a missing person case, but a different kind of missing person case. It's on property managed by the National Park Service. It's a very strange case. A couple of you have written to me about it in the last few years. And it's on a stack in my office of cases that don't appear to be 411 cases, but have a lot of intrigue. And the parents are at a loss to describe how despondent they really are. So, this case involves this soldier right here, Enrique Ramon Martinez, 21 years old. He went missing May 23rd, 2020 at Camp Lookout National Seashore in North Carolina, jurisdiction of the National Park Service. Enrique joined the Army in September 2016 at 17 years old. He was only 20 years old, but he got special access and privilege to go ahead and join. He's from Chino, California, a location out in Southern California. Well, he went through basic training, did a great job. In March 2017, he was assigned to Fort Bragg. And he worked his way into a specialist program at headquarters for human resources. A topic near and dear to my heart, which I studied for many years. He was a paratrooper assigned to the 37th Engineering Brigade Battalion, 82nd Airborne Division. And with this latest enlistment, he had just a couple months left, and he was looking forward to coming home. His family said that he wasn't going to re-enlist this time. He was going to come back, get a job. He'd never bought a car before. He'd been saving while in the Army. He was going to get a car. Well, on Memorial Day weekend 2020, Enrique and 6 other soldiers went out to the Cape Lookout National Seashore, a 56-mile-long piece of land off the coast that you got to take a boat to get to. And they were all camping together. And the guys were all having a good time. Well, on May 22nd, at about 11:55 at night, the guys say that they saw Enrique get up in his shorts and sandals and walk into the sand dunes. He didn't say he was going, but the guys were concerned. Well, they all went to sleep. They woke up in the morning. Enrique's sleeping bag's still there. He had left his phone and wallet behind when he walked off. And, you know, I could kind of understand that if I was walking off to use the bathroom, say, in the middle of the night in the woods. I would probably leave my phone and wallet behind, especially if I'm with a bunch of buddies. I wouldn't be worried about it. But they woke up at 8:30 and they noticed he was gone, and they started searching for him. Well, at about 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, they encounter some National Park rangers working the area that were warning them that their cars were illegally parked where they were looking for Enrique. And they didn't mention anything to the park rangers at that time what they were looking for. They just thought they'd find him. So they come back to their campsite at mile marker number 46. And later that night, they report Enrique as missing. And right after they report him missing, the National Park Service notifies the Criminal Investigative Division of the U.S. Army. They call the Coast Guard, and a search starts. Now, this is the area of North Carolina where they were at. And there's this piece of land right off the coast where their camp was at. This is what that piece of land looks like going north up along the northern coast. They were camping at the far southern piece of this piece of land. So they take a boat from here out to here. They were camping right here. Now, the story starts to get a little odd, needless to say. When 6 days after his friends report him missing, Enrique's head washes up to shore at this location right here. Just down a bit, a couple miles. And his friends are back at Fort Bragg. Criminal Investigators Division is on it. National Park Service recovers the head. And immediately, the National Park Service relinquishes the investigation to the U.S. Army, which I find amazingly odd. Astonishingly odd. It's my jurisdiction. I'm going to investigate it. But they give it to the Army. Army calls the FBI. So the head is found in a place called Shackelford Banks. And that's the only thing they have. So the FBI puts a dive team in the water out there looking for the remainder of the body. It never washes up on shore. It's never found. They just have the head. The coroner says there's a crescent shape incision or chop on the back of the neck near the 7th vertebrae. And the coroner classified this as a homicide. But that's all they have. So the Criminal Investigation Division interviews all the soldiers there, and they're dumbfounded because they can't find a motive for what happened. And not only can they not find a motive, they don't have any clues other than the head. Now, Enrique's mom in Chino is distraught, and is asking for more help, asking for more clues, clarity. Well, just recently, like within the last couple months, the Army placed this in the cold case section. That's troubling. That really means nothing else is going to happen, and no one else is going to look at it. But before they did that, they give the case to the FBI and their profiling division. Good move. The only other thing of interest that came along, and I don't put a lot of credence, meaning, oh, this could have meant a lot on the case, is that they said illegal drugs were used at the campsite the night Enrique disappeared. Well, when soldiers are interviewed by CID, they better be telling the truth. And I'm sure they said, well, we probably smoked some weed or something big, In general society, it means nothing. In the Army, maybe they got demoted, maybe they got in trouble. I don't know. They never made it public. But one of the big things to me is who gave the Army jurisdiction in this case? Why would they give the Army jurisdiction in the case? Where is Enrique's body? And why hasn't it been found? Now let's go back. So this is where they were camping. It's a separate piece of land. This is where the body part's found. This land is not attached to the main United States. It's offshore a couple miles. So they're camping here. Enrique takes off on a walk. Question: how did the murderer get onto this piece of land? How did the murderer remove the body? Those are big questions to me. Now, since this piece of peninsula has limited access because of boat, you would think that there must be some ledgers that are kept that indicate the movement of boats in and out. Or there's oftentimes CCTV cameras at harbors showing boats going in and out. So the killer had to have gotten to this location by boat. Or did they drop in from the air? Did they swim there? I don't think so. But those are really your choices. The fact that his body is found on Shackelford, they never said which side of that peninsula it was found on. They never explained how it was found, but I'm going to guess it was from a person strolling on the beach, which must have scared the hell out of them. So, and then the other question is, in this area of North Carolina, have there been other mutilated bodies found? Good question. But something that the FBI and the Criminal Investigative Division of the Army aren't talking about. But it's troubling. Now, all of this area of North Carolina is patrolled by state police, county sheriff, city police. Criminal investigations divisions normally take care of just military type crime on military installations. They don't investigate crime on public land per se, which troubles me because this is on public land. This wind wasn't here when we started, but it is here now. And I've got a sock on the mic, and we are probably going to get some comments. But oh well. Now, I often get asked questions, well, Dave, do you ever get cases involving Army personnel that were on duty? Well, again, I don't consider this a 411 case, but there's a lot of similarities. And I always keep my mind open so I don't miss something. Now, this is on National Park Service property. It's a decapitation. Obviously, something killed Enrique, and they don't know the cause of death, even though decapitation is a cause of death. But is that why he died? Or did he die from some other injury and then later was decapitated? I don't know. But somebody who's a soldier in the military disappears on a lonely island offshore and then is found dismembered. Folks, come on. That's odd. And it's grotesque. Now, I followed this case from the time it happened, and it hardly got any press at all, which is another troubling issue to me. I think things involving military personnel should get front page, especially under the circumstances this is. I'm guessing the Army wants this case to go away because it is so grotesque. And it involves 7 Army personnel. What I would do, probably different than what they did. But I immediately would have taken those other 6 guys and put them in separate rooms and interviewed them and then polygraphed them. I don't care what anybody says, I know how effective polygraphs are. Especially with people that are in the Army and they have a lot to lose. So I don't want to hear your comments about, oh, you know, they don't work, this and that. No. The FBI and every police department, large police department in the United States uses them when they hire everyone. And the reason they use them? Because they're effective. So that's my case for today. I want you to think about it. I want you to know that I do look outside the box every day on these things because they bother me. And on every Friday, I might throw something at you like this because I want you to open your mind up too. And if you know of cases in your area that are different, especially that are in the outdoors in the woods, yeah, I want to know about them. And if you have a story about you being in the woods and something unusual has happened to you, I want to hear about that too. This so far this year, I've heard from a few hunters that have had some very strange things happen to them while they were hunting. And there's one case in particular I'm following right now of a missing hunter in Washington that we may talk about at a later time. There's a lot of things about that case that bother me. As I've always stated, elk hunters, for some reason, when they disappear, very rarely found. So, I'm going to give you a little scan here of this area so you can see it. The water level here is down about 3 feet, and that's kind of unusual coming out of the dam per se. You could stand here and just watch the fish rise. They're so gorgeous. Just watch that one bank. See them come up every once in a while. There's a mountain I'm next to right here. This is Columbia Mountain. Man disappeared on there. I wrote about in Missing 411 Montana, never was found. So, you guys have a great weekend. I appreciate you being here, and we'll talk soon.